Welcome to the Write.Publish.Market podcast. If you're a business owner thinking a book would be a great marketing asset for your business, you're in the right place. Maybe you've already committed, even better. I'm your host, Jodi Brandon, book publishing strategist and partner for business owners, CEOs, and entrepreneurs, and 20-plus year veteran of the book publishing industry. On the Write.Publish.Market podcast, in addition to learning from me and other industry experts, you'll hear from other business owners about their experiences as we explore all facets of writing, publishing, and marketing a book that will help your business grow in ways you might not even be dreaming of yet. I'm so glad you're here. Let's dive in. Well, hello, and welcome back to the second episode in our special series about the Write.Publish.Market book revision, not to be confused with the Write.Publish.Market podcast. So in the first episode of this series, I announced that I'm revising Write.Publish.Market, which was a super fun announcement to make, and I've loved the response from it. So thank you for that. In this episode, I'm just kind of talking about what's next. So what's my plan? So right now I'm in sort of the prep background stage, right? I have not started the actual revision writing process, but I'm in the prep phase. So what does that mean? What am I doing? So the first thing that I have done is worked through my Book Prep Bootcamp, which is an old course that I had. It's not actively available right now, but it was really mostly for mindset stuff, right? So, talking about fears, talking about, mental roadblocks, talking about mindset, just sort of getting yourself into the right frame of mind where you stop thinking like a business owner and start thinking like a writer just for this contained period of time. It's one of the biggest pieces I work on with my one-on-one clients and book coaching clients, book strategy clients. It's really sometimes difficult to sort of wrap your head around, trying this new thing because we're business owners. We like to be in charge. We like to know what's what, where we're going and all of that. And it's sort of, this dark path ahead of us, like dark as in you can't see, not dark as in negative, but, it's hard sometimes to kind of wrap your head around trying something new where you are a beginner again. So obviously I've written books before, so that piece of it is not new to me, but just sort of, stepping into that unknown without knowing exactly how it's going to go is uncomfortable for many, many business owners, myself included. So I have worked through that old course, just to sort of get myself into the right frame of mind here. The other thing that I have done is because I want to include a workbook with this revision, I've gone through the manuscript, the book. I have it in manuscript form, even though it's also a book. Gone through that manuscript and looked for places where an exercise makes sense, a worksheet makes sense. Lots of old like freebies and opt-ins I have from my blogging days. I don't blog actively at this point, but there's lots of good stuff on the website. So I've gone through and thought about where it might make sense to include a link to something like that that's already in the book. I'm also going to be going through that with the new material to see, where it might be something that I need to create. So this review and pass was for places where it makes sense and it's something that I already have. So I did that. And then the other thing I'm doing is going through, I've talked about this before, with the book revision episode of this podcast, on the blog, on the YouTube channel, all the places where as soon as you hit publish, as soon as you consider your manuscript done and hit publish or send your files, whatever you're doing, start a revision file. I found a typo on page 23. Oh, that's a statistic I want to make sure that I update in the next edition. All of those kinds of things, I keep just a running list. Mine is in Asana, all sorts of ways to organize that. But I'm going through that file and making sure that if there's something I need to look up, I'm looking it up. If there's something I want to make sure, typos and things like that, I just go in right away and change just because no point in leaving any room for me to forget to do that later, that sort of thing. But I have a running list. And since it's been a couple of years now, the list is a little extensive. If I get a client testimonial or something like that, then I'm like, oh, that would be a good case study to talk about. That would be a good example of a person, a situation, a book project to talk about in the book instead of, update this one or whatever the case may be. Hey there, business owner, an aspiring or published author. Sorry to interrupt this episode. Just wanted to check in and see if you're subscribed to Coffee and Commas, my email newsletter, where I share behind the scenes, industry info, and much more about writing, publishing, and marketing a book for your business. Sign up at bit.ly/coffee and commas sign up. That's all lowercase. Now back to the show. So I'm kind of going through and doing all of those things. And then the next thing is going to be, any new material. So from those notes, from, my revision file, and then any new stuff that I'm thinking about, I basically just have three big, I'm going to post this on my Instagram. So if you're listening to this episode, go to my Instagram, Jodi Brandon Editorial, or my LinkedIn, and I will post a picture of this. So I basically just have three, huge sticky notes on my wall in my office, the big sticky notes that you've seen me use with book planning intensives probably. And then I have smaller sticky notes. So there's three of them, one for the write section, one for the publish section, one for the marketing section or market section. And anything that I think of, like, I want to include that. I need to update that, whatever, is being put on a smaller sticky note on those big sticky notes so that I can kind of start to visualize the three sections of the book coming together with how much new material there's going to be, because that's going to help me build out my writing schedule. Because I'm going to know, okay, I don't need, 6 full weeks for each section. I need like 1 week for the write section, because that's pretty much intact. I need 2 weeks for the publish section, because that's kind of, intact, but I need a little bit more. And then the marketing section is where I feel like that's where I'm going to be adding the bulk of the material in the publish and the market sections, but probably the market section the most. It looks like, or feels like, at least at this point. So I love this part of the process because I am an office supply nerd at heart, but I also like to get it out of Asana. I know it's organized in there, but I visually think differently when I'm looking at, things in a bigger space, not on a computer screen. So I know for some of you, it might feel like that's a little bit too much work, like duplicating work, but for me, it works. So you find what works for you, but this is what works for me. So that's where we are. And by the end of that process, which is going to be coming up here in the next couple of weeks, I should be ready to write, to start actually doing anything that needs to be written. I should be ready to roll. So that's what you will hear me talking about in the next episode of this series on the Write.Publish.Market book revision. But yeah, this is one of the most fun parts for me, because this is where visually I can start to see it coming together, where it's not just a checklist of things I need to update in Asana. It's actually coming together and I'm seeing, okay, and that's sort of exciting. That's the fun part for me, because it's not like the slog of the writing, which even when we love to write, it can be a slog. And it's not, like that word count goal every day. It's not all of that, which, is necessary work that I am mentally ready to do because I've done that mindset prep. But I do like this part where I can kind of see and kind of figure out, okay, the book really starts to take shape again for me. So, and right now I feel like I have that table of contents from the first edition and the second edition, but I can really kind of see now where the changes are going to come. And that's really fun. So I hope that coming along on this journey is getting the wheels turning for you, especially if you have a book already and you've been toying with the idea of an updated edition, a revision. And yeah, that's what I've done in this stage of the process. So I look forward to hearing from, any of you who are in that stage, what you've been doing, what you're doing the same, what you're doing differently, how it's going for you. And in the next episode of this series, we'll be talking all about the actual writing. So I'm envisioning in my mind now that the next 3 episodes in this series, one of them is about the write section, one of them is about the publish piece, and one of them is about the market piece. So not sections of the book, but sections of the project. So we'll see if that plays out. But in my mind, that's how it's going to go. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being part of this journey with me. I hope you're enjoying it. And until next time, write on, my friends. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Write.Publish.Market podcast. I know just how busy business owners and CEOs' schedules are, and I'm grateful you've taken some time out of yours to spend with me today. If you enjoyed this episode, take a quick screenshot and share it on social to let others know you're listening. Use the hashtag Write.Publish.Market to spread the love.